You're about to see a fight. The combatants prepared themselves both physically and mentally for the duel that lays ahead of them. If you've ever seen a fight before, be it live or staged, chances are that you've witnessed it through film or television. Through the years, countless exponents of the martial arts have come and gone across our senses, but a select few have lingered in our thoughts, impressing us in one way or another, making us look at them more than once. Skill, form, strength, power, speed, and charisma are but a few of the ingredients that make a fighter stand out among his peers. But even among the top echelon, there are distinct differences that make each one unique. So, if you thought that all fighters were the same, think again and prepare to be educated.
First of all, I want to say that whether Korean styles, Japanese styles, Okinawan styles, Filipino styles, Indonesian styles, Thai styles, Burmese styles, it's obvious all the roots sort of came from China. And what I like to say is, separate of the mechanical execution of the techniques, I still feel that the Chinese principles are the most advanced, they're the most in-depth, they're the most scientific. And although most of the Chinese styles didn't change their manner of execution, they did pass on the principles.
Every civilization in the world has their own form of unarmed combat, but none have had the quality and refinement of technique that existed in China. Through the influence of films, most people believe that Chinese martial arts originated at the Shaolin Temple, which is far from true. Centuries of war against rival provinces and outside invaders gave China a rich background in the art of fighting.
Before the rise of Shaolin, all combat or martial arts were basically fairly formalized. Ranks that were maneuvered, they were trained, everything from the peasants up to the nobles. There were times of chivalric warfare, but Certainly not in the style that we would recognize as true martial arts. Rigid discipline, fighting in ranks and in groups, maneuvering, things like that.
Chinese martial arts were founded by an Indian Buddhist monk.
Bodhidharma was an Indian monk who traveled to China with the intent of transmitting what he felt was the true teaching of Buddha. Prior to that, he felt that the Buddhism that was being transmitted into China was a distortion of Buddha's original message. He supposedly came into China at 527 AD, and he entered from Canton, and then he traveled up to see the emperor, Liang Wudi. And there's a very famous exchange between the emperor and Bodhidharma, in which the emperor, who had been a converted Buddhist, said basically, you know, how much karmic credit am I going to get for spreading Buddhism in China and for spending all this money on developing temples? And Bodhidharma said nothing. And basically, the emperor didn't understand what Bodhidharma was trying to explain to him in a very cryptic manner, so he was kind of angered by it, and Bodhidharma just left the court. From the court, he traveled up north, where he is said to have ended up at the Shaolin Temple. He started to teach Chinese disciples his version of Zen meditation, which is based primarily on sitting in a lotus or a half lotus position. And he found that over a period of time, these monks would fall asleep, or that they were getting very weak because they weren't getting enough exercise. So he developed a series of moving meditation exercises, or psychological and physical movements, that would complement the strenuous sitting. The Shaolin Kung Fu training, the physical art, was only an aspect of the training in the Shaolin Temple. It was gym class, so to speak. And that the ultimate goal for these Shaolin monks was not to learn how to kick ass, per se, but actually to seek spiritual enlightenment.
Using the foundation left by Bodhidharma, the Shaolin monks developed their fighting skills to unparalleled heights. Strict discipline, intense training, and a monastic lifestyle turned the monks into warriors of the highest degree.
Only the Shaolins and the monks who were forbidden to carry the weapons. So everybody else could quite happily tote weapons around and would therefore train themselves in their use. So the Shaolin monks, being unable to carry weapons by law, would obviously have to study some other way to protect themselves in their journeys.
Centuries after the Shaolin Temple closed its doors, a new monk appeared on the scene.
Hi, do you know who I am? I'm Master Killer? No. I'm Sander? No. I am Gordon Lao Ka Fai.
Gordon Liu was trained by his older brother, Liu Chia Liang, in the arts of five-animal kung fu and Hung Kun. The sincerity he puts in his roles, coupled with the authenticity of his fighting moves, has made him a favorite among movie audiences all over the world. The one big problem Gordon Liu faced in his career was that he became so identifiable as Monk that film producers or even movie audiences didn't want to see him as anything else. Fortunately, Gordon Liu doesn't seem to be upset by the stigma imposed on him. Being a devout Buddhist himself, he seems content with spreading the wisdom of Shaolin through the films he makes.
Do you remember in the 36 champion, I have training many things. I fight into the water and with bamboo and live, many things. It's a real training. Kung Fu is the art culture in China. It's a knowledge. I want to let this spirit and knowledge, that art culture, let all the foreign people know that. You know, when I play every action with spirit, when I must show my side and spirit, give the people know that. Not only pop, this, have tempo and spirit. When I slowly, also like Tai Chi, with spirit. Let all the people, this Kung Fu is not something like Taekwondo, boxing. It's not Kung Fu, it's a knowledge.
Like Gordon Liu, Jet Li found movie stardom playing a monk in a series of films called Shaolin Temple, which were produced by the Chinese government. Jet Li became the first martial arts action film star in China's history, as well as being a smash success in many overseas markets. His popularity was such that fans from all over China would come to his home, many of them walking great distances. Lines of people stretching 5 miles would wait days just to see him. The reception he received from the Hong Kong film community was just as enthusiastic. Top producers and directors all wanted to make a film with him, and his popularity just keeps growing. And here, for the first time, the two Shaolin superstars, Gordon Liu and Jet Li, clash in a duel of martial artistry. You are watching the Chinese art of wushu being performed by a future superstar of the martial arts. Wushu focuses on form and mastery of technique instead of fighting. Aside from martial arts, gymnastic skills are also important. In mainland China, children are picked at a very young age for wushu training. Like the Shaolin Temple, the training process is long, hard, and disciplined. To distinguish oneself in a country where the group is more important than the individual is a task in itself. But one young man did it. A wushu champion before hitting his teens, Li Linji showed an ability that made him stand out. The lightning execution of his moves dazzled audiences and got the respect of his peers. In the mid-1960s, Jimmy Wang Yu came to cinema screens in Asia and became a superstar. Signed on as a contract player with the Shaw Brothers movie studio, Wang Yu was in great demand by his loyal fans. But many will be surprised to find out that Wang Yu never studied formal martial arts. Most of his fighting experience came from street fighting, coupled with the fact that he was an Olympic-class athlete. One of the reasons he became so popular was due to the fact that he seemed to get carried away by his movie roles and tried to reenact them in real life. It wasn't unusual to read about Wang Yu fighting a dozen men and getting the better hand. After breaking away from the Shaw Brothers, Wang Yu worked for many independent companies and showed that he had an unusually creative side to him. His choice of characters, both for himself and his opponents, kept him popular well into the 1970s.
I think the film in older days, that time not many camera tricks. We have to do every dangerous stunt ourselves. Now, because the camera trick and the technique is much better. So the actor is, they are easy to make action pictures. That's the difference between old days and now. competition is very hard now. That time is not many movie companies. Stories very difficult to get a very very good stories now. I love old days, but movie now is also much better.
The man who brought international recognition to the martial arts was Bruce Lee. Through his films, the world saw an undiscovered treasure trove of unarmed combat. Using his incredible physical attributes, Lee could make any type of fighting technique look effective and usable. Anyone who saw Bruce Lee move, whether on screen or off, agreed that they were watching a master at work. As a teenager, Bruce Lee started seriously training in the Wing Chun system of Kung Fu, which focuses on trapping the opponent's arms while simultaneously attacking him with short and powerful hand techniques. In 1958, Bruce Lee migrated to the USA, where he settled in Seattle, Washington. With no instructors to guide him, Bruce started experimenting on his own and started taking students to help him in his training. Needless to say, they were astounded at the skill of this young master.
One of the things that Bruce was trying to do was, that he constantly tried to do, was to get across the idea of simplicity. Don't make things complex when simplicity will do.
When I first met Bruce, he'd been coming around to see Jesse a few times at our place. Jesse and I were roommates. I came around when Bruce was there, and Jesse had already told me about some of the amazing things Bruce could do. And Bruce was just a small person. He was 5 feet 7.5. He weighed 132 pounds. But you could see he was in shape, and he moved almost like a dancer. Bruce stood real close to me, right near a doorway in our little apartment. And he says, well, go ahead, try to hit me. So I was going to reach up, and I was going to throw a left jab, essentially. But I was just going to tap him alongside the cheek. I was just going to... He was quite within range of me. He was within punching range, and I was just going to reach up like that and tap him along the cheek. So I said to him, okay. I said, are you ready? And he said yes, and his hands were down here at his sides. And he looked kind of relaxed, and I thought, this guy ain't ready. And I said, well, are you sure you're ready? Because, you know, he didn't realize how fast.
And it is safe to say that as long as martial arts exist, so will Bruce Lee. If you've heard of Bruce Lee, then you've also heard of Bruce Lee, the man chosen by numerous film producers to carry on Lee's work after his death.
1970, I get into physical education college, learning gymnastics, judo, and taekwondo, boxing, and Chinese kung fu, Wing Chun, karate. I learned acting to be an actor. But in the beginning, I just a stuntman and a small part actor. The producer, Jimmy Shaw, gave me the English name called Bruce Lee, L.I. But I don't like it because I can act him, but I cannot to be him.
Bruce Lee's emergence into the movie scene immediately raised the standards in fight scenes. Audiences were no longer content with actors who had a few lessons in kicking. They wanted the real stuff, and producers looked high and low for people who fit that bill. One such man was Larry Lee Chin Kyung, a master of the Okinawan style of Goju Ryo. Larry Lee was a Hong Kong karate tournament champion and special fighting instructor for the Royal Hong Kong Police. His credentials seemed to make him a top candidate to go up against Lee at the box office. Unfortunately, Lee's presence was too strong for any potential contender. Anyone who tried seemed to fall by the wayside, at least in the eyes of producers. But this should not take away from Larry Lee's ability. His execution of technique is superb, and in some ways superior to Bruce Lee's. And there's no doubt that he had all the tools needed to become a star in his own right. Maybe if producers and distributors had looked beyond getting a new Bruce Lee, they would have seen unique qualities of Larry Lee. And history would have written the books differently. His name is Jackie Chan. More than once has he been compared to screen legends such as Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, Douglas Fairbanks, Errol Flynn, and even Gene Kelly. The total mastery of his body and anything he touches has held audiences in awe for nearly 2 decades. He has won countless awards for his creative high-wire choreography and stunts. Equally versed in acting, Jackie Chan has become the mark on which standards are set. He has forever changed Chinese films with his unique brand of comedy and acrobatic style of martial arts.
The audience like me, just see my movement, maybe my funny face, these kind of things. So this is why I know the audience, they come in to see it to see me. It's to see Jackie Chan. It's not see the double. So this is why I decide to do the dangerous stunt myself.
Jackie Chan was born on April 7, 1954. His family came from the Shandong province of China, but later moved to Australia. At 7 years old, Jackie and his family moved to Hong Kong and was enrolled at the Chinese Drama Academy, where he studied Chinese opera and martial arts for 10 years.
My father was moved to Australia, so I just stay in the school. We paid $30 for a month, and just from 5 o'clock in the morning training until midnight, 12 o'clock. Some teacher teach you kicking, knife fight, you know, everything.
Overnight stardom did not come for Jackie Chan. If anyone can say they paid their dues, it's Jackie. Starting with bit roles, he worked his way up, slowly but surely.
小孩子们让他们去吧，大老爷，人善被人欺，马善被人骑呀。算了算了。崔明，哎，对面那女什么人？哦，您问的是对面的那女啊？啊，就是那个长得雪白粉嫩，黑森森的头，香喷喷的口，脆弯弯的眉。冷清清的眼，那么2只金莲一点点，对，就是他。什么人？您问我啊？他啊？不知道。
And that time I just the timing is not so good. Sometimes the action movie coming up, everybody want to watch the action movie, but they finally almost every movie is same. Fighting. No reason fighting. Why you look at me, then keep fighting. Fight 10 minutes, audience get boring. I like to doing action. You know, I like to kind of like a show off. I have a lot of things to show to audience what I can do. A lot of people thinking we're speeding up. It's not. Because we're fighting, we're training all my stunt guys almost every day. We know. Right now, we should speed slower. It's very difficult for us is because the companies, the Western people, they can see. When I fight with the American stunt guy, like a 3-punch, see? Our stuntman can do this reaction, but after I 3-punch, the American stuntman first reaction. I'm lucky I'm becoming a star. Then I know the audience. I'm not handsome. I'm not something different. Someday I die. The history book, movie history book. The John Wayne, the Bruce Lee, the Jackie. Enough.
His face and body might make you laugh at first, but after a few movies, the respect Sammo Hung King Bo deserves follows almost immediately. Known as Jackie Chan's older kung fu brother from opera school, Sammo Hung has carved his own identity right from the beginning. Starting out in roles as a supporting actor or villain, Sammo Hung's talents were slowly recognized, and he became a successful leading man, as well as a top-notch choreographer and director. Although not as acrobatic as Jackie Chan, he makes up for this by staging intricate fight scenes that are always unique and fresh. His knowledge of martial arts runs deep, ranging from traditional weapons to kickboxing.
I wouldn't consider myself as the king of Kung Fu. There are many people better than me. Bruce Lee, for instance. He is far better than me. I've always had the greatest respect for him, and I have learned a great deal about martial arts and movie making from him. I hope that through my movies, I can bring some message and enjoyment to my audience worldwide.
Taiwanese Taekwondo champion Alexander Lowe has the body and the high skill level of a man who is on the top of his game. The power he seems to generate from his body adds a believability that couldn't be found in someone smaller. Alexander comes from a fighting family, so he had to start his training early, which has paid off. Aside from his many movies, he's also a much sought-after fight director. The absolute king of the muscle men is Bolo Yeung. A former Mr. Hong Kong, Bolo started working with the Shaw Brothers movie studio. His massive frame always made him stand out in a scene. He found international recognition when he appeared in Enter the Dragon and became a star in his own right after a smashing performance in Bloodsport. His martial art of choice is, surprisingly, the gentle art of Tai Chi, although anything he uses seems lethal with the brute force he possesses.
Chinese Hercules. He's the superhuman beast of the East. Bone cracker, head crusher, back snapper, body breaker. Men, women, old, young. Hundreds or one alone. Each challenges and each becomes the pulverized prey of Chinese Hercules, the first and only muscle-mad monster of the martial art. Chinese Hercules. He'll get a crush on you. Rated R.
Muscle can deliver a powerful blow, but skill and delivery of the technique is equally important. And the most difficult of these disciplines is the art of kicking. Unlike acrobatics, which has no functional use in fighting, kicking not only has to look good, but deliver a lethal charge with every strike. As the legs are the more powerful of our limbs, a well-placed kick can break bones or rupture internal organs with the force of a gun. The discipline required to master this form of combat can take years of daily practice, but some men have risen to the occasion, often defying logic with the ability they have. One such man is Tan Tao Lang, who seems more at home with one leg off the ground. His lack of effort in keeping his leg high off the floor for long periods of time is nothing short of amazing.
From a young age, I began to study Taekwondo. I also studied Judo, Hapkido, and Chinese Kung Fu. But I favored Taekwondo as it allowed for full contact, sparring, and competition. I won the all-career championship several times, and I also won the world championship. Competition in the old days was a lot tougher than it is now. Out of 600 or so competitors, to make it to the last two was not easy. Not like now, where the fighting is divided into many divisions. It was a lot harder then. A lot of people wonder about my kicking style, particularly the leg holding and the hopping. Well, there is a reason behind this. In competition, if you kick the opponent's head, you are awarded the greatest number of points. But often when I fought, no points were awarded me when I knew I had scored. So I thought, if I can hold my leg up in the air and keep kicking the opponent or chase him with my kicks, I would surely eventually score a point. Later on, no one wanted to fight against me.
In his California school, students practice with a dedication not found elsewhere. There's no lack of enthusiasm here. All Tan has to do is put on one of his films, and his disciples get instantly fired up.
I like to think of myself as a Taekwondo instructor first, an actor second. I'm a very active person, as you have seen, and I still think even at my age I could compete with the fighters of today.
One of Tan's former students, John Liu, not only showed kicking precision, but amazing flexibility as well. His legs seemed to be held together by rubber bands. The creator of his own style, Zen Kwon Do, John Liu proved a skilled fighter both on and off the screen, even defeating karate champion Chuck Norris in open competition.
John Leo was my student at the time I was teaching Taekwondo in Taiwan to college students. John Leo was having problems at home, so his mother came to me and asked if I would accept him as my student. John used to clean and cook for me, and in return, I would teach him. His problem was he was very stiff and couldn't stretch. He said that he would endure the pain if it would enable him to kick better. So I forced him into the splits. He was in pain for nearly 2 years, but after he recovered, he could kick well, as everyone can now see.
The man you're watching is a human dynamo. Contained in his body is the force of a small hurricane, which he can unleash with deadly accuracy. He is Casanova Wong, a Korean who found recognition when he went to Hong Kong to pursue a film career. A former Taekwondo fighting champion of the Korean Army, Casanova disciplined himself by practicing his techniques in icy rivers during Korea's harsh winters. If his moves look powerful, it's because they are. There is no faking what he is doing. These men have good reason to be afraid. They are facing the most awesome kicker known to man, Wong Jang Lee, the king of leg combat. With hands and feet, Wong unleashes a barrage of punishment that few men can withstand. His legs are not just used for kicking. He can lock, grab, and trip his opponent just as easy. His leg combinations are like those of boxers. Using his lead leg as a jab, he sets up the opponent for a devastating rear leg attack. Or he might just finish you with a flurry of bone-crushing aerial kicks. The most famous kicker in the world is Jean-Claude Van Damme, a martial artist from Belgium, who followed his dream of movie stardom to the end, thus becoming the highest paid man to appear in a martial arts action film.
My first meeting with Jean-Claude Van Damme was in fact with his father, who introduced him to me. Jean-Claude was 11. Jean-Claude was very shy and skinny. He wouldn't say a word. His father wanted to make a man out of him. I took a special interest in him, and I took him under my wing. I thought we could make a strong man out of this skinny kid. Also, very quickly, I detected that Jean-Claude was very determined. He showed a very resilient and strong character. A lot of people wonder about Jean-Claude's real ability as a fighter. As full contact was forbidden in Belgium, we had to travel abroad. We also used to lie about our age to be able to enter competitions, as Jean-Claude was too young and me too old. We were Belgian and European champions. We beat world champions. It is obvious that one doesn't achieve a career like Jean-Claude's without being a real star, the genuine article. Jean-Claude could have been a world champion, and that was the goal, but we got sidetracked. But before we got sidetracked, I forced Jean-Claude to fight the then number 2 in the world, and he beat him.
You bastard!
The first time I met Jean-Claude Van Damme was in 1981. He was the son of the owner of a small flower shop close to my place, close to the place I was living in Brussels. And the owner told me, you should practice exercise and make some sport. Why don't you see my son? He just owned a gym, and he's a good karate champion. You should see him. So I went to the California gym. I have to tell you that by that time he was not at all a movie star or nothing. He was just a good karate champion, owning his own, running his own gym, and he was convinced that he would become a big star.
Okay.
was a karate champion, but there is better karate champion than he is in the world. He was not speaking English. He had not attend courses in acting schools. So he had absolutely no reason to believe that he could even have a very small play in any movie. So when he was telling to everybody, I have no time to give you advice and I have to take care of my career, you know, I'm becoming a big movie star. That was very funny.
T'as beaucoup de chance.
When I have to push at the end, yeah, I can push with my career. When something happened bad and something go wrong, I always come up with that extra punch and I succeed. But it's good to have that fight because then I've got something to do in life. If I don't have that, then what else am I supposed to do? Producing?
The popularity of martial arts movies in the USA was mainly due to the support of African Americans. And it wasn't long before producers started seeking out black martial artists, such as Ron Van Cleef and Jim Kelly.
After the death of the Dragon comes a new American superstar. 16 years in the martial arts, 7th degree black belt, and 4 times world champion. Introducing Ron Van Cleef as the Black Dragon. We said enough. Now we'll let him do the talking.
When I started my martial